It's Monday morning, welcoming you to Breakfast Central on News Central. Yes, you might be wondering, why are we seated on a Monday morning? Well, we have decided to take it very slow, nice, and most importantly, to start the day on a very, very bright note. Even though some of the stories that we do have right in front of us are stories that would warrant you to have a rethink, especially on critical issues that borders on a lot. But I would save that for later. Welcome to Breakfast Central. I'm Joe Hansen, and I'm saying good morning.
Good morning. I am Olive Emodi. Very delighted to be back here with you this week. Thank you for staying tuned with us all through the course of the weekend when we had Breakfast Extra. And now coming back to continue our conversations with us this morning on Breakfast Central. This morning we will be exploring a number of conversations looking at the state of insecurity in the country, as well as a number of key happenings in Nigeria's political space. Remember that you can engage at News Central TV on all social media platforms. I particularly like to check out YouTube every once in a while. So before the show ends today, if you have reactions to anything that we're saying, please drop a comment in the comment section and we would read out your comments on air. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. How are you, Joe?
Well, not bad. It's been a I'd say a weekend filled with very little activities, because on Saturday it rained heavily in Lagos. So indoors was just the best thing to do. Just stay indoors and avoid getting drenched by the rain. Besides that, pretty much the news space has been filled with one dramatic story or the other. We did hear of the coalition party eventually emerging, but they are indeed alleged coalition party. But then again, there were, I wouldn't say alleged in totality.
Yes,
there were videos of the political party members, and then the logo also came out that had. But I have a question. Why was there corn? I didn't know you saw that too. Why was there a corn?
Like what? Why is that Amado? Some people said ADA means Ada. I hope I pronounced it properly in the Yoruba language, and Ada means cutlass.
Cutlass.
So that they want to use cutlass to cut away the challenges in Nigeria. So I say, we don't want to be led by cutlass. So I beg, Ada. Very interesting one there.
So now there's also an alleged. Now this is where the alleged comes in. Alleged claim that the coalition party we saw is quite different from another coalition party.
No, quite different from the coalition party that we are expecting.
Exactly.
Because the coalition party that has been talked about in the news has been the one that will purportedly be led by certain key leaders in the Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party, who are coming together because the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
My friend. So I have to now take him as my enemy.
So, you now align together at the center to kick out the powers at the center.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a shock that we're finding, or we are hearing, that it's not the coalition that we have been expecting. So maybe we expect another coalition. Or you just want to keep it on the low for now. We don't know.
Maybe. So there are multiple coalitions. We don't know yet. We're just saying. But just in case you've been following News Central right from the weekend, we've broken the story. We've gone even as far as ensuring that we speak with those who matter, that have been part of this seemingly coalition party, which has been rumored to come forth and kick out the current ruling party come 2027. But I'm certain that the APC in itself is laughing, as it were, because it seems like the coalition party that was expected, is also going to give birth to another coalition party. So there's so many stories. Don't worry. If you're confused, just stay with us, because today we're going to discuss that. I'm sure it's part of our conversation as I look through our list here. But let's start off with our wake-up conversations on a Monday morning. First, believing that you had a great weekend. Well, it wasn't all smooth and good for residents of Plateau State, not forgetting to residents of Benue as well. Just 48 or many hours after the president left.
Friday night,
yes.
I think. Friday night at 9:47 p.m.
Exactly. After he left to focus on commissioning some projects, guess what? Insecurity reared its ugly head again. The one that particularly happened in Plateau State saw the lynching and killing of few persons who were said to have just driven into a community. That community was said to always stand on their toes, ensuring that they kept watch against insecurity. So the story it's a bit mixed.
It's a very uncomfortable story, really, because again it highlights the state of insecurity in our country. So it was reported that on the 20th of June at 9:47 p.m., the Plateau State Police Command received intelligence that a group of travelers in a bus on their way from Mangu local government area in Zaria, Kaduna State, they were heading to a wedding in, they were heading from Zaria in Kaduna State. They were attacked in Mangu local government area, and that their bus, they lost their way. So I think, I'm not quite sure, but there's an assumption that because they lost their way, the residents had assumed that these were terrorists while I can never, ever support the mob attack, I can understand in some measure the apprehension on the part of the local government's residents, because they faced so much insecurity attacks in the past few weeks. It's felt like they've had no break. So everybody and anybody is a suspect at this point. But then again, they unfortunately hurt innocent people. And this is really sad. Very sad. At least 12 travelers from the Basawa community in Zaria local government area of Kaduna State are also killed in an attack by a mob in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. Now, the incident, we're told, occurred at 8 p.m. on Friday when a group of 31 individuals, this included men, children, women, who were traveling in an 18-seater bus reportedly owned by Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. The pictures are also on social media, and the pictures show how the bus was burnt. You could only recognize the Ahmadu Bello written there, but the rest of the body of the bus was indeed burnt almost beyond recognition. Well, this is not just all. The president is condemning not just that which took place in Plateau State. There is a complete information about the insecurity that took place as soon as the president had finished talking tough in Benue State. Well, let's tell you that a total of 59 persons have been said to be killed. First, we have in Borno State, we have in Kano, Kebbi, Plateau. So if we break it down, 30 were killed in Kebbi, 12 persons who were identified as wedding guests were murdered in Plateau. In Borno State, 12 persons died in a suicide bombing carried out in a fish market by a woman, while in Kano State, a military mortar bomb went off along the eastern bypass in Kano, the state capital, on Saturday, killing 5 persons in the process. 12 died in Borno suicide bombing. Suicide bombing was another very sad one that took place this weekend. And this happened in Konduga LG of Borno State, and they were told that the residents were also told that it was a woman. So all of these things happening at the same time. It makes me wonder if the current administration, there is a purported, or there is a direct plan or implication by these insurgents to thwart the current administration's ability to rule, or better still, to continue to navigate all its policies, whether it's on security, it's on economy. There is a plan to thwart all of the plans to ensure that none of these come to fruition. Because this weekend, we've seen mass attacks from all of these states mentioned, from Borno, Kano, Kebbi, Plateau. And then you start to wonder what's going to happen next. It almost seems like our security operatives are indeed overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed, yes, because you do not know how to go about all of these things at the same time. There's a lot happening. It feels like, again, they have their hands full. I know that they try to assure us that they're on top of their game, which I can believe in some measure, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's why when we talk about the security architecture in Nigeria, some of the security experts we have on the show would ask why we're having the military involved in a number of these conversations, because their focus should be on protecting the territorial integrity of Nigeria from external aggression. But now, because of how overburdened, overwhelmed our security agencies have become, we then have to have the military looking inwards and trying to fix situations within the country. It's a really sorry state that we're in. in terms of our security challenges, and also just talk about how citizens are on the edge right now. Reports have it that a number of people have been arrested in connection to the lynching that happened in Plateau State, but citizens are on the edge. The police has urged and advised that when you see any suspicious activity, rather than taking the law into your hands, you should report the suspicious activity. Our hearts go out to the families of the loved ones who are, or the people who have passed or who were killed in the lynching, in the mob attack in Plateau State. But that's what happens when systems have failed, right? Our security systems have been failing. So right now, citizens feel like they've become their own security experts. Citizens do a lot of things for themselves. The citizens provide electricity for themselves, they provide water for themselves, now they provide security for themselves. So it's just really sorry. We would have shared videos from this lynching, but unfortunately, they're very, very gory. So we will not be able to share them on TV.
Absolutely, absolutely. But then again, you see the tweet from the president himself where he had talked about how he's in no way, in support of this. He's saddened and outraged by the series of tragic events. He condemns them strongly, but that has also been a case where Nigerians have reacted, because you do recall that in previous administrations, the word condemned was widely used, especially during the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, where for 8 years straight, there were so many condemnations, and Nigerians would say that the condemnations in terms of responses, press releases, reactions, were even more than what was done. But we wouldn't take that to be absolute truth, because we also believe that the gallant military forces have done their best and continue to try to do their best to ensure that they can provide succor to those who have been affected by these heinous crimes. But then again, let's see reactions from some Nigerians, especially on this issue. We do have a tweet right there. Fortunately, somehow we have at Oyani_O. Says, Your Excellency, Mr. President, thank you for your statement on the recent heartbreaking tragedies in Borno, Plateau, Kano, and other affected regions. Your words of condolence and resolve are noted, and your commitment to standing with the people in these dark times is appreciated. However, as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, your authority goes beyond expressions of sympathy or urgent action. At this critical juncture, Nigerians are not merely looking for empathy, we are yearning for decisive, time-bound leadership that conveys both compassion and command. Respectfully, it is no longer enough to urge the security forces or to direct collaboration among agencies. The situation demands that you order results within specific timelines. Within 72 hours, we should see tangible outcomes, including arrests, actionable intelligence, and an immediate visible presence of federal security forces in vulnerable areas. And then he goes ahead to mention what should be done. Now, this is a concerned Nigerian who feels that it's good to say you condemn, but then again, let me help out. And then he breaks down what the president can do. And like I always say, no man is an island. Sometimes even the security agencies could be overly overwhelmed, or better still, they might want to go into the books and see what should be done. Another one. Harmless 12345 says, Mr. President, we're not angry with you over the insecurity in the country because you did not promise to secure the country. Do not mind these charlatans who are expecting you to protect this country. Please, which other country are you vacating to? We're waiting for the pics. Now, this would say is sarcasm in its highest height. In other words, that tweet or that X, if you put it that way, is simply speaking, kind of like in a sarcastic manner, possibly asking the president, we know you wouldn't do anything. Right. But of course, that's not true. We want to just start our Monday on the positive note that something will be done.
Amen. Speaking about something being done, the people who have done something about our security situation, our law enforcement agencies, our police officers, we have reports from one of them who has shared about his pension and his gratuity, and it's just the most heartbreaking video. Let's take a look at this video of a Nigerian policeman, a retiree, who laments his gratuity of, find out for yourself. After serving Nigeria for 35 years, this is what he got.
I laugh. A retired superintendent of police. retired from the Nigerian police in 2023, October 1st. Since then, nothing has been paid to me. Just 2 weeks back, they called me that they are going to pay me 3 million naira. What for? They say that is my pension. Lo and behold, the 3 million naira is not just all the whole pension. That 1 million naira is my arrears for the time, from the time I retired to date. Then 2 million naira is my entitlement. I cannot serve this country for good 35 years and being paid 2 million naira. The devil is a liar. Please, the IG, let the IG hear this. I was a superintendent of police before retirement. Even if your brother happens to be a police superintendent of police today and he is being asked to take 2 million naira home as a retirement benefit, ask yourself if it will be well. I am not collecting that money. I am not going to collect that money. Let my service be in vain. I don't give a shit. I don't have money. And 2 million naira will not solve or make me being a rich man. It will never. I'm not rich. And because of, I will not, no. Wasted all my years thinking that I'll take something home after retirement. All the police will do is to give me 2 million naira. What a shame. And I said, I serve my father's land. I serve my country wholeheartedly.
So I'm a bit confused. That 2 million is it? 2 million is for what? For a superintendent of police.
Superintendent.
So that would be how much if they were to now make that
calculation together.
Into
I mean, for those who are watching, you can bring out your phones too.
So let's say for a year.
2 million. It's just do 35.
That's
do
like
35 years divided by 2 million.
For a
35
year.
divided by 2 million.
I don't understand. So wait,
that's a bit. That's even harder.
I'm confused.
Okay.
Watching that video made me start second guessing myself and asking if I understand how pension works. That is the pension paid monthly, or is it paid yearly, or is that the final one of for the rest of your life? Thank you very much.
So he was earning 57 each year 57,142 naira. If we're to sum it up, it was 58,000 naira in a year that was collecting for his gratuity. So for 35 years, he got 2 million naira.
That's terrible. So something is wrong. It's either his pension wasn't being paid, because we know that there are a number of, the police is not a private organization, but there are organizations where they hire their staff and they're paying them salaries, but they're not paying their pension, right? Let's not act like there aren't people who do that, even though it's a criminal offense. So it's either his pension wasn't properly paid, which is not excuse enough, or this is just total foul play at work.
Olive, I can tell you this, that he's not the only one. He's not the only one. The difference is that there are many police officers who were equally on his level or even above that have not even collected their gratuity, or some who have. And we can call out the police force here on this program today and also call out on those people to come out. I bet you that if we threw an open field on this, the police force would be amazed. It's not that they don't know. But then again, this is my worry in all of this. This is the same police officers you expect to protect lives and properties. But when it comes to their remuneration, they are not well paid.
How do you expect them to give their best?
Exactly.
Because
how
even
do you
the ones that are
expect
here today, they're seeing that video.
70,000
Those who are working
55,000
and 70 days, they're seeing that their Oga worked for 35 years.
35 years.
And he's getting 2 million.
Got 2 million.
At the end of the day, they will keep cutting corners. They'll keep stopping people and asking them anything for the boys, happy weekend, and terrorizing people because they're trying to collect money to weekends mates. Because they've realized that their destiny is in their hands. If you watch this video to the end, he said
that end really touched me.
Oh, the end, he threatened them.
Yes.
He said there's no problem. If they don't do anything about it, they will learn.
And he used very dark man's statement.
Yes, they will learn the hard way.
This calls for a clear, you see, you may start wondering why it is that sometimes the police force is not as what you want it to be, active, or they are not proactive, and so on. How many police officers, as we speak today, will watch this video and in their right frame of mind will want to rededicate themselves to giving their best? How much does a senator earn? This conversation, that question has been has been back and forth, here nor there, senators dodging and running away from their actual salaries because they don't want to mention it. But let's just state clearly what some of the facts we've gotten, that a senator can be is mentioned to earn 29 million naira. Some of them will tell you, no, our salary is 1.5 million naira. Even if a senator earns 1.5 million naira, there's wardrobe allowance, there's this, there's that, there's so many things. The person that protects him and is said to protect the people, do you wonder why sometimes when they say private security officers, you have the policemen going further to protect civilians, or in quotes, the senators? And I beg to say this, those even engage in crimes, as it were, they may even have access to some of these security operatives if they want to have them, because they can pay for it. But the point is this, look at how much, wow, Nigeria.
Anyway, it's a painful situation. It's a sad and sorry side. I said it on this show before, how I once was speaking with a police officer. I don't want to call the area, so they probably can't trace it, but here in Lagos. And he was saying how he wants to retire, that he has to exit the police force to go and start farming because he was not able to make ends meet. And these are people that you give weapons to carry every day. They're carrying weapons. They're putting themselves under the sun, putting themselves on the line to be able to protect the peace. How do you expect them to give their best when they're barely adequately remunerated? When we talked about NSAS in 2020, the police, yes, the law enforcement agents tried to stop or curb the violence. But part of the fight NSAS was also for the Nigerian police. Part of what they were asking for, yes, they were saying regulate the police and the SARS department, but also pay them properly, kit them properly, give them insurance, give them the things that can make them happy to come to work, not, venting their frustration on the average Nigerians. So when this video surfaced, if you check the comment section, unfortunately, in Omoyele Showari's page, because that was where he posted it, you would see people there saying, oh yeah, now, should be when we were fighting for you people. You chose to silence us, you chose to stand with the government as opposed to standing with us. A very sad response, because at the end of the day, regardless of how it turns out, we are all going to feel the heat. If they're not properly taken care of,
they will cut corners.
Yes, and it will affect all of us.
Indiscriminate roadblocks. You have all of that. People mounting roadblocks, telling where you're going to, tell them that they should not survive. They would survive. They have children too in school. I mean, if you compare this to what a UK constable, or better still, a UK police officer earns, I mean, take a look at that. A UK police officer earns as high as £29,000. And then it goes up to about £61,000 when they become sergeants. Now, compare that to we're not saying there's no crime in the UK, but of course, we can say that there's crime everywhere, but they are controlled to a certain level because you have dedicated policemen who are willing to go as far as, you will still find corrupt officers in every single country. But then again, you cannot, look at the spate of insecurity, and then you expect people to rededicate themselves and fight it to the end. It's going to be very questionable. But talking about insecurity, another video has emerged. Now, this video has been circulating online. It's a video that also becomes worrisome to every single Nigerian. It's in Plateau State, and that video clearly shows a justice who, in quotes, was kidnapped. Now, if you've not seen the video, we'll do well to show that video to you. And the question is, what is really going on with the security, especially not just in different parts of the country, but almost all over the country? But take a look. Just watch for yourself.
They should not see you.
My car is tinted.
Okay. You can't off it. Now why are you owning it? Why you off the car? Oh man, this thing is serious, man. Jesus Christ.
Well, I know you may be saying, but that's a security car, a security operative car. That's better still, you could say, a force car. But, I mean, we spoke to some reliable security forces, and they told us that it's actually a kidnap. And that's one of the justices in Plateau State. That video shows where he was being forced into his car, and the men all dressed in the entire military gear, putting on the security outfits, ensuring that they carried out this process of possibly taking him away.
That's a very scary video to witness. Scary not just because it's a kidnap, but scary because they're wearing security apparel attire. So you assume, if you're an onlooker, a bystander, you assume that this is a law enforcement agent. You see them on the road, and maybe they tell you to stop for a stop and search, and you stop because in your mind you think, oh, this is the police, not realizing that this is a kidnapper. You see how much of a problem we're in. We are really in. We really need to look at this. I remember the time they were telling us how to identify the real police officers and all of that. Name tags. How would that one play out here? So when they stop me, I'll be telling them, sorry, please, can I see your identification? By the time they use gun and wipe your head, see how they were arresting this man, kidnapping this man.
Yeah.
It's just, again, reminds us of how sorry it is, how much in a sorry state we are when it comes to our fight with insecurity. In fact, in the past 2 weeks, it feels like every day, we're doing one story or the other. We haven't had a break as a nation. And it's just really unfortunate for us to be where we are. And I think my concerns are what the next steps are. Do we know a way out of this? Are we going to constantly keep reporting insecurity here on the show?
And keep condemning it.
Condemn the actions. Do we see any steps, active steps that have been taken that will drastically reduce it? Where we hear of forest guards, we hear about all these moves. Are they really reducing the numbers? I think these are the questions that come to mind.
It's worrisome. And that's why when we started the show, we said some of the stories we have in front of us are stories that would get you, asking questions and, if possible, also being worried. Because if a justice in a state was whisked, let me use that word, whisked away in the dark, and someone had just the opportunity to video record that and also share with very key members, and then for us as a station, reaching out to, also getting reliable sources from security operatives telling us that's not a modus operandi of the security agents, especially in 2025. This is a clear case of a kidnap. Then we know that truly what we are seeing play out, especially in different states, in different areas, shows that there is a problem with our security. This is also a wake-up call. Remember when we had the Borno State governor? He himself had said that when we asked if we're looking at a state of emergency in Borno State, his response quickly was, no, this state of emergency should be for the whole of the country.
Valid.
And we're starting to see what he really meant, because just like we said, 56 persons died over the weekend, and then you're saying this again, and then you clearly know that there is a big problem.
Indeed. Anyway, we'll look more about at these stories and continue to report them as we receive. Hopefully, we don't have a lot more of that, even though right now it feels like hope is thinning out. We're going to break now. When we come back, I'll get into the conversations, but let's share with you what the headlines are today. This morning on Breakfast Central, President Tinubu hands over ECOWAS to President Maada of Senegal. We, of course, will be looking at the opposition coalition forms new party, ADA. You can see the corn and wonder what the corn is doing to a very interesting one there. River State Local Government Council admin resigns allegedly under duress. The FCT Minister to renovate IBB Golf Club. And we also will be reviewing the newspaper front pages with you. Please stay with us. President Bola Tinubu has officially handed over the chairmanship of ECOWAS to Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada. Now, this happened at the 67th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority in Abuja. President Tinubu, who led the bloc through a turbulent 2-year tenure, passed the baton with a call for unity, democratic values, and economic integration. President Tinubu's tenure saw a military coup in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, countries that eventually withdrew from ECOWAS.
Well, he urged them to return and emphasize that economic integration cannot thrive in political instability. Now, President Tinubu has outlined 4 key priorities: restoring constitutional order, revitalizing regional security, unlocking economic integration, and building institutional credibility. But what does this leadership transition mean for the region? And can President Bill deliver on the promises of peace, security, and integration? Well, joining us for this discussion is the public affairs analyst, Mr. Joe Femi-Danguro. Thank you so much for being here.
Good to be here.
All right. There seems to be a transition. Many were not expecting it to take place yesterday. Some were expecting that maybe later on in another meeting this would happen. But what does this transition mean for the region, especially looking at what took place yesterday?
Well, this is a diplomatic issue, and sometimes behind the scene, a lot of things, are worked out. The most important thing is to see that ECOWAS is better placed in this region, because you've had it. There have been a couple of issues, that have bothered the ECOWAS region, and it's just the fact that we are not lacking in ideas and thoughts and what to do, but the execution of some of these ideas, some of these plans have always been the problem. Most African countries, they know what to do, they know how to do it, but sometimes nobody really knows now but we just hope that Bill is going to bring in his own experience, do his own beat, and let's see how far it goes. We can now not say precisely how far it will go, some of his own ideas, how it will turn out to be. But we just believe that Julius, the president of Sierra Leone, is going to do his bit, and let's see how far it can go.
President Tinubu led the ECOWAS through what some refer to as a turbulent period. But let's have you talk about your assessment of his time as leader in the past year, especially regarding regional instability. Were there wins? Were there losses, maybe missteps that you would consider in the way that he handled the ECOWAS?
You see, sometimes, you cannot say how this thing works out. It's just unfortunate that it happened during his own tenure. Nigeria was going through a lot as well, and here you have a president who has to, deal with his own people, his own country, and at the same time deal with the ECOWAS region. So it's something that he couldn't have prevented, because these men in the Sahel region, they've planned it, they've made their minds on what to do, and he couldn't have stopped them, because they have their own sovereignty as well, don't forget. So he has done what he could do, and that is one thing about some of these things I've said about these diplomatic issues. He has done what he could do, and the best he could do, and to focus on his own country as well. You could see what he inherited in Nigeria as well, almost dying central bank, our economy was, in bad shape, the political issues, the security issues, and a lot of things that are still going on.
The challenges Nigeria was dealing with as a country served in some measure as a distraction to the president as he was chairman of the...
I wouldn't say that's a distraction, but I think it's one of those issues that, borders on how you can handle regional issues when you have your own issue at home. And now you see the fact that even some of these regional issues and the home-based issues are the same thing. I mean, you see the kind of banditry and the kind of security problem we have in ECOWAS region as well. See the financial institution in ECOWAS having some problems. I think most of the important thing we have to look at is this. ECOWAS was formed even before European Union. And this is something that has not been able to grow past a certain stage. We've not been able to have the ECOWAS currency. We've not been able to have a free passage the way it should be. Some time ago, I was passing through the border at the border there, and you are still asking me for, let's say, per se. Go to Cameroon, you are still asking, a lot of questions. Why do I have to come in here? I have this experience in African countries because, I was at the time the vice president of a company for the entire Africa. So having seen some of this in about 45 African countries, I think we have a problem, not just within the ECOWAS. But now we are seeing that, okay, we say this thing theoretically, but how do we practice most of these things that are being discussed? It is the execution of this program. Look at what is going on in the European Union. Look at what is going on in some other places. They have their regional issue as well, but they are being managed in a way that once ECOWAS should say something, all ECOWAS countries should be able to abide by it. But it's not the case. The ECOWAS will say something and it's not being, it's not being followed up.
So ECOWAS has, are you saying that ECOWAS has lost its influence?
Maybe so, maybe so. The influence is not what you expect. The influence is supposed to be more powerful than what we are seeing. Even when people go to ECOWAS court, are they being enforced in all the countries? So you see all these things happening. So we have a lot of things in theory that we still have to look at from the basic aspect of it. And we look at even African Union itself. So how can we do this? We have resources, human resources, natural resources, and that is what we should thrive on. That's what we should grow on. But we are not utilizing some of these things. We have cross-border trade that we should be making huge money out of it. If we had been able to have our ECOWAS currency, it wouldn't have been like this. We shouldn't be bothering ourselves about dollar, euro, or renminbi, or whatever. But because we are not consolidating on some of the issues that we've been discussing for the past decades. So it's not President Bola Ahmed within his 2 terms or these few years that is going to bring up, but that's what I'm saying. Every one of them will come in and do their bit and leave it that way. But let's have consistency. Let's have something. Let them come together. Look at what Talon was saying. He was saying the truth. And can we just say, look, not just saying it, can we just put it into practice and see what we can achieve? It's a great thing to have ECOWAS. It's a brilliant and vibrant region in Africa, but how far can we go with that?
It's a key indicator that, most importantly, ECOWAS would need to rejig, reshape, if care is not taken its policies. But are you certain that the president of Sierra Leone would be able to do this, looking as far back as those who have been there before, and many have considered this regional bloc to be weak?
Well, like I said, each and every one of them will come in and do their bit. The only thing you have to consider is that for how far is he having his own home-based problem that he has to face. You see, if you have your problem at home and you're having another problem outside the home, how can you combine it? The region has been, embedded in so many of these issues we're talking about. So who is going to pull it out of this? In most cases, most of these countries are not even, I don't think they pay enough of their funds to keep ECOWAS running properly. The same problem we have, if we cannot manage ECOWAS properly, how can we manage the African Union? So these are the things that we have to do. But see what is going on in SADC, see what is going on in East African countries. They've been able to manage their regional affairs in a way that is helping. Kenya is saying, look, come into this country. You don't need to pay any dime. You can move in. Yes, it's happening there. Go to Kigali. They say, look, you can come into Kigali without a visa. This is working. Let's make things work. Let's come together to work in ECOWAS. And you see, you have this separation or division of Francophone and Anglophone. So these are the issues again. And so if we can come together, let's leave what is Franco and Anglo, let's come together as West African brothers and sisters, and let's move on. The trade going on, informal trade going on within ECOWAS borders is something huge, in millions and billions of dollars. Let's, come together to really make it function, make it work. So if Bill can do his own bit and make it work and rejig it, like you said, and make things happen the way it should be, we shouldn't be talking, nobody should be harassing us. No country outside this country, outside the world should be harassing, I mean, the African countries generally. But we see a lot of harassment. And, when we are being harassed, we quickly run as if we are begging. We shouldn't be begging. African countries shouldn't be begging at all.
You're talking about what should be. And very soon I'll come back to ask you what immediate steps we think the President Julius Maada Bio should take. But let's talk about maybe the next 5 to 10 years. With the formation of the Alliance of Sahel States, does that start as a threat to the regional bloc? Do you foresee maybe an integration in the nearest future?
Beyond, we shouldn't even be using the word trade because we are brothers. We are not just outsiders to ourselves. We know ourselves and we are brothers. But the most important thing is coming together. He should be able to foster that regional cohesion, the regional, solidarity, unity. We talk about unity most times, but what is unity? How do we bring people together to understand what are the focus points that we want to discuss? We are talking about stability in the economy, stability in our regional forces. We are talking about the issue of banditry or whatever you call it, kidnapping, and all those kind of things happening within our region. How can we come together? Are we going to have a force that is going to deal with it? How can we bring these forces together? Who pays for what? And these are the issues that have to be discussed and concluded. The brothers who are in the Sahel region, they are part of Africa. They are part of ECOWAS. They've been in before. They have to be seen, we have to make them see that there is more to it. Not just about being the president or being the vice president of ECOWAS. It's just about the people. If the people is the focus, we have to focus on the people. The regional issue is about the people. How can we fight poverty? How can we reduce poverty? How can we reduce all those issues? The health issue of our people. Can you go to Cameroon, Ghana, or wherever to have this hospital treatment and your insurance is valid in Ghana? Is your insurance valid if you come to Nigeria to treat yourself in Nigeria? Exactly. So these are initiatives, these are things that people want to see,
It's a lot. It's a lot in terms of when we look at it, dissecting it. But then again, let's look at the ECHO, which was rumored to be the best form of trade in terms of using it for trade within the African space, especially looking at West African countries. This hasn't kicked off. There are conversations that if we have this currency, it would aid seamless trade within borders. And the president, while also before his handover, I remember one of the statements he made, he had said that looking for a time where there will be borderless integration, where there will be no need for you to be, just like you also mentioned, your time as a vice president or working with the company, you had to go, there's laissez-passer, you can't pass. If you don't have this, you have to pay for this and so on. It's a bit dramatic. But in all of this, can we say, with the exit of countries like, Mali, Burkina Faso, and so on, do you think that there might be a time where ECOWAS at some point will have these countries back and then have a strong formation to further provide what the African countries need?
There must be a reason for them to come back. That's what I said. You must be able to provide some reasons for us to be back. If they've gone out of the system, out of the group, and you say, look, come back to this group because we have addressed these issues. What are the issues they want to address? If the issues want to be, they want to be addressed, it's being tabled and addressed, there's no doubt about it. Even if they are on their own, they can still be working within the system. But the issue is not, we can't force them, they have their sovereignty. And, but the issue is, let us find out what are the issues are we tackling. Is it just the issue of saying, the colonial masters must go, or we don't want to be under the colonial master and stuff like that?
But BRICS is becoming a strong force as well.
Yes, but you see, this is what I'm saying. BRICS and every other association or organizations around the world, they come together to form a good force. Why can't we do it in Africa? Why can't we just do it? The thing is that we still depend on all those countries. We still go back to them to beg for money, to beg for assistance. We shouldn't be doing that. ECOWAS is strong. African countries is so strong. The countries around Africa are so strong in whatever means. But we tell them to come to us and do this rather than for us to say, look, let's go to Ghana and develop Ghana. Let's Ghana go to Senegal and develop Senegal. Let's do this within ourselves. It is when we begin to do this within ourselves, the other people will respect us. European Union will just not say they are not doing anything, expecting any other country to, or any other association or organization to help them. They put these things on the table, they tackle it. Look at the way they are tackling the taxes. Look at the way they are tackling even immigration. So let's begin to work on issues, 3 issues, 1 issue, 3 issues, or 4 issues at a time, and we work on it and we get through it.
Okay, this leads me to my next question. In terms of working on 1, 2, 3 issues at a
Yes.
time, what would be the low-hanging fruit that President Julius Maada should focus on in the immediate time, now that he's just received the leadership? What should be his core focus now?
Security. We need security. Without a good security in the region, you can't even get investments going on. We need good security. Good security means we have to bring people together to work on this issue. How can we secure our countries? How can we secure our borders? What can we do to eliminate some of these issues we are talking about, banditry, kidnapping, and jihadists, and all those things we are talking about that are making life uncomfortable for the citizens? You see, if that is the #1 issue you can tackle, every other issue will follow, and people will trust you. People will have that confidence. Then you cannot have unity among the countries when there is lack of security. How do you even travel around when you are afraid that your car might be hijacked? How do you do that? We should be able, you go through this Badagry, Lagos-Badagry border. You see the checkpoints there. How many checkpoints do we need to be able to drive between Germany and Netherlands and find out, do you have any checkpoint at all? Even at the border, there's no border again. So do you have any checkpoint at all? And people are moving. Security is very key. And once we are able to tackle that security issue, we should be comfortable as ECOWAS citizens. You are talking about the eco currency. It was a simple thing that we have to bring back. Each country has to meet a demand. They created this criteria for themselves, a certain number of GDP, whether you have this debt ratio to GDP, and we've not been able to meet it. And that is so bad that it's within how many years? It's been on for years now.
I also think that President Trump has spoken tough about the BRICS currency.
Right.
Do you think it's also going to allow the eco currency?
Well, there might be. You see, when euro currency wanted to come up, the same thing. America was not too keen about it to come up. But because if this currency comes up, we are going to be stronger. So if BRICS currency comes up, it's going to make us to be stronger. Look, you don't want anybody to go away with things like that. I mean, you don't expect Trump to say, look, go set it up and don't use dollar again. Dollar is the most powerful currency. So people believe that, look, we should. But the moment we go for it, euro currency today, do you know what it is? It's even, it's higher than the currency. So that's what they thought at the beginning. I was there then when this euro currency was coming up. And the same thing we debated that, look, the euro currency should be part of it. But the people were focused. They knew what they were going to face, and they knew how to handle it. So we should know what we are going to face. Eco currency should come up, but who is going to manage it? We have to have a central bank that will clear all those things. We have a system that will make sure that it's secure, it can't be faked around.
So the central bank will be Central Bank of West Africa?
Yes, that's how, just like we have the European Central Bank, ECB. So who is going to manage it? Is it going to be a regional thing again that we have to say, okay, Nigeria will stay there for 2 years, America will stay there? Who is going to fund it? Where are we going to get the money? You see, most times where African countries are cautious or cannot take decisions that rapidly is because they believe that we don't have enough to fund all these things. We still have to go to World Bank. Who is there? America is there. We have to go to IMF. Who is there? America is there. You have to go to African Development Bank. Who is there? America is there. So wherever you go, so you are cautious to deal with that issue. But if we take the bull by the horn and say, listen, here we go, we're moving on, I think everybody will be cautious and they'll be looking at it as, oh, this guy bolder this time around. I think that is probably what those brothers in the Sahel region, they've done. They took the bull by the horn and we're seeing them to be bolder. These are young men and they said, look, we can go for it. So let's go for eco-currency. Let's work it out. But we can't rush into that again because our currencies are not stable. Look at SEDI has been very stable. The Ghanaian currency has been very stable. Yes, so far. And it has been like that for a couple of years back. And look, what is Naira doing? What is the other currency, CFA, doing? And the CFA in some of these ECOWAS countries, they are not the same. If you take the CFA of, what's it called now, the Republic of Benin to Cameroon, you can get the same. So there are a lot of things we still have to work around. But for me, is this: let's begin to do the right thing. Let's start with one thing, complete it, and move on. We can't just say we want everything together at the same time, and in the next 4 years or 5 years, we are not achieving anything. I mean, that is not good enough.
Very insightful. Thank you so much, Mr. Joe Femi-Danguro. I mean, I wish we had more time, but I think you've highlighted some very key and critical areas that we hope to see, effected in ECOWAS. Thank you so much for your analysis.
I appreciate it. Good to be here.
Thank you.
Very interesting. Well, let's also tell you that hundreds of Ndokwa residents in Delta State, South Nigeria, staged a peaceful protest on Monday at Kwale over the lack of electricity in the area, which lasted for more than 25 years. The protesters, predominantly youths, blocked the major roads of the Asaba-Kwale-Ozoro Highway and the Asaba-Wele Road to draw attention to their plight. Well, this story has gathered a lot of reactions, especially from interested persons. Let's take a look at the package.
The protesters in large numbers at Kwale, Delta State, mounted roadblocks with warning fires at different spots on the major roads of the Asaba-Kwale-Ozoro Highway and the Asaba-Wele Road to draw attention to the lack of electricity in the area. The protest led to significant disruption in vehicle movement, bringing it to a standstill and leaving passengers stranded. The situation was being monitored by security forces, who eventually began firing tear gas to dislodge the protesters. The protesters expressed their dissatisfaction at the manner in which the situation was handled.
Totally disappointed on what is going on here. People are doing peaceful protests, but look at what is happening. They damage so many machines, so many cars, using tear gas to chase people away. I remember when this process started, it was very peaceful. But instead of government, Delta State government, I mean the governor of Delta State, to come and read this matter once for all. He refused, and to use force on the people. What did I tell you? Give my family food. Balance and take. We are one start from. We are one start from Onyema. It's a tell. We are one start from. We are one start from. When get be those Nisa Abu Kwane. I'm Ndokwa. We have many companies in this town, and we don't have lights. They are eating the money. Enough is enough. We don't go green. We need lights. But we stand today to tell the deputy governor that what we need is IBB step down.
We protest. We're not disturbing anybody. The police are passing. We're just there dancing and waiting for the government to come and address us. The next thing we just saw, policemen from Asaba, Sakus and others started shooting tear gas and gone.
Peaceful protest, what they do? They carry arms and ammunition. They shoot us. See my hand. See my hand. All they have to do is to use the military men to come and oppress us here in our community without addressing us, shot almost our persons. Almost few of the bike were burnt, some were stabbed. What is the meaning of this? The federal government should come and intervene in this case. From here to Ghana, Niger, Republic, Kaduna, Lagos, Abuja, connect light from here. More than 25 years now, we don't have light here. And we think that we're happy. Very many people, they were injured. You know, tear gas all over. We cannot see road. Even my bike, before I got to the place where my bike is, they have already punctured my bike.
The protesters have insisted that they remain at the venue of the protest until their demands are met. In Kwale, for News Central, Austin Azu.
Well, the protest reportedly resulted in the arrest of some of the youths, but to join us on this discussion is legal representative of the arrested protesters. Mr. Evans Ufeli joins us live in the studio. Thank you so much for being here. 25 years, no light, no electricity. We hear that there were plans. What's going on?
Yeah, the people of Ndokwa, if you notice, are not given to protest. There are times I've called for protest on several occasions, just few people will come out, okay, and all that. And they have been on this issue for a very long time. There's been no light. Even the hospital, I can show you video of the hospital in Kwale, no light there. If you take anybody in there, the person is gone. Whoever is sick, you move in there, is gone. So we've been on this issue for a very long time. And the people of Ndokwa have been taken for granted, because if you look at the 3 local government areas, Ndokwa West, Ndokwa East, and Ukwane local government area, every other part of Delta State have light, and we don't have light. And the irony of the matter is that it is from Ndokwa that you have the highest gas deposits in Africa, in Okwa. It's from Ndokwa that Aso Rock is powered. Ndokwa is connected to the national grid, wherein gas is transmitted to power, step down in Obosi, then straight to Abuja and other areas of the country. But that same Ndokwa
that powers all these.
That powers everywhere have no light, have no functionable hospital, have nothing infrastructurally. Okay, so when the deputy governor delivered an address, an interview in Arise TV, he talked about the fact that there was no planned protest anywhere, that people have been paid to disrupt the activity of the government, that this government is the closest to Ndokwa have done. And I responded to him and said that this protest is real, okay? The people just came to the realization that they need to have light, and it's very important because power is a major resource for social development and the rest of that. So they need to have this light. And the deputy governor, who incidentally is from Ndokwa, yes, was a person making that expression that the government is doing so well for us and we are not complaining and the rest of that. And that aggravated the thing the more, because it now looked like even our own in government don't even understand what to do. The person representing us at the National Assembly Senate, Ned Nwoko, Senator Ned Nwoko, some months ago, was busy talking about how to create the Oma state and merge it with the Southeast. So they have no understanding of how to prioritize issues. We're in darkness, what he was busy discussing as a federal house member. The one representing us at the House of Rep, the same thing. Okay? Now that one does not even understand what he should think about or do. So not only are we bereft of representation from the state level to the federal level, we're also bereft of the natural resources that should enhance, and so many people are going about trying to kill the story. Like I said, this is
to clarify, right? When you say 25 years, no electricity, is it that there's been no electricity at all, or it's been epileptic?
There are communities that have never had electricity at all, that you don't even have poles or wire there. That one's a different conversation. Okay? We're talking about the ones that at least they have seen pole, they've seen wire, and they've had power for a short time, maybe 2-3 months. And from that time till now, we've not had electricity.
Okay, the government has responded to this. Let's take a look at the video of the governor, speaking to this.
The Obai power project is not a state government project. We can only begin to make effort to see how we can begin to also benefit, and that is ongoing. And I'm also aware the deputy governor of the state, who is from the Ndokwa nation, have also led, having been mandated by His Excellency the Governor, to begin to look into how we can ensure that our brothers and sisters, particularly in Ndokwa West and part of Ndokwa East, are served with this power infrastructure. There have been several meetings with them, and effort is being made to deal with the challenges between the dam power holding before it moved to Benin Electricity Distribution Company, as to how to settle certain outstanding liabilities so that they can now begin a process of getting them reconnected to the grid. And because there was this absence of power or the grid or along that corridor, the power distribution channels along that corridor being energized, it made it possible for some criminals to tamper with the power infrastructure in that corridor. So which means that it's not a question of going to settle outstanding liabilities. It will also involve providing certain power or energy infrastructure for them to be effectively connected.
That's Honorable Charles Aniago there, speaking on behalf of the governor. Do you accept the response?
I agree completely with him. I know him very well. This is what he does, propaganda. He cannot tell me that as a lawyer. He can tell that to villagers who are illiterate or some persons who are not. The Buhari regime, okay, had signed into law, and it's now possible for state governments to generate power supply. This is how they talk, because they are ready to do nothing. They just want to be in government embezzling money. That's exactly what he's doing. Now he's telling, look at this is shameful. This is shameful because all they need to do is for the Attorney General of the state and the entire escrow of that state to come up with a legal framework, okay, to have power generated from. There are states that are already generating power as we speak, in the process of doing so. He's still calling the federal government. That is past the old position, where we have seen that the issue of power generation is solely in the exclusively. Now it's no longer the case. The state government can generate power, and we have the resources to do so. If there is no power anywhere in this country, there should be power in the Ndokwa, because that is from where the entire country generates power, energy. So they shouldn't tell us that. We are not children. Okay, this protest is valid. And for those trying to kill the story, you cannot kill the story. It's an idea whose time has come. You can't kill it. We will continue to make sure that this story is not killed, and we will ensure that even those persons who went out to protest, the government came on them and did a lot of, used the police, arrested so many of them. Yes, they burnt bikes belonging. The state government must replace it.
What is that? What is that?
Going to punch the tires there.
Yes, he's punching the tires, and he's under a command. Okay, okay. Someone gave that command for him to destroy people's property. Most of those vehicles you see and those motorcycles you see are actually taking on hire purchase. Okay. Because I have access to all of them, I know all of them, and I know what they go through. They are not asking the government to give them money or to, they're asking for light. Okay, light is a fundamental right.
It's not a favor.
Yeah, it's not a favor. And because
especially coming from a community that powers.
Yes, and they are sitting on our resources. They are sitting on our resources. The deputy governor said, the governor has given him order to go and pay what they are owing the BDC, and that very soon the light will come. That was after the protest was muted. You understand? He didn't show any document. He didn't show nothing. The people didn't trust that information because they keep lying to the people, okay? Just like Charles is lying just now. He said, no, you can't say that to us. If you have to lead, you have to lead proper. You have to provide the necessary amenities. The security and welfare of the people shall be the purpose of government. That's the law. So why should we not have welfare taken care of? Why should we not have the necessities of life in Ndokwa? Why is there light in other places? If you say that is the federal government responsibility, so why is there light in other parts of the country? So Ndokwa has been so unfortunate. Okay, they keep doing this because they feel the people will do nothing. But this time around, we're not going to take that from them. They must provide the necessities of life in the Ndokwa land, and they must upscale the life of the people. Light is just one area. We have so many other issues, the hospital and the rest of that. And they must provide it. Otherwise, they should leave the seat of governance for those who are serious, who want to make the life of the people better. We cannot sit and watch them continue to do this. We can't do that.
So what are the next steps now? We've heard that protesters, we saw the clips of protesters being dispersed. What are the next steps?
Yeah, the next step is we made concerted effort to get some of them out of detention.
Do we still have?
Yeah, we still have some of them in detention. The secretary of the protest group is still in detention. They vow not to release him. Some other persons, the wife, I spoke to the wife yesterday, and the wife said they are asking for 3 million, that the police is asking for 3 million.
3 million?
Yes, the police force, they're asking for 3 million.
He was apprehended.
Yes, for protesting.
For protesting.
Yes, which is a constitutional right.
And then
they are
locked up.
Yes, locked up.
The police says to bail him.
Yes,
3 million.
there should be 3 million. Many of them who, before I got there into the issue, some of them had already paid money to have themselves released, from 300,000 to 400,000.
So this money is going to who now?
The police. They are thieves.
So the police have asked for 3 million naira.
Yeah, they have asked for 3 million. I'm telling you, well, if you want me to bring the wife here, or you want to speak to her on video, Zoom or whatever, I will make that possible, and you'll hear from her directly. I'm telling you what I said. I was with her last night. I spoke to her last night on the issue, strategizing on how to get out.
What's crime? So are they, for you to enforce this arrest, what's crime? What's the charge?
Their crime is that they went to exercise their fundamental rights as enshrined in the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999. Okay, it's only in Nigeria you clamp down on protesters, you arrest them, put them in detention, and be asking them to go bring money. You understand? That is the kind of situation we find ourselves in this country. And it's unfortunate. And instead of people like Charles Aniago, the governor and deputy governor, to address the issue, they are there, shifting blames, taking themselves away from responsibility and the rest of that. They are not ready to govern. They are not ready to lead anybody. All they want to do is to keep embezzling the commonwealth of the poor of Delta State, use it to buy cars, travel abroad, embezzle it, and that's exactly what they do.
Do you have faith that this will be resolved? And I'm asking because even here on the show, we've talked about different issues that the state is dealing with. On the one hand, those in the Abraka will tell you about the insecurity challenges, even though, yes, we had the police PRO come to talk about, come to talk about it and say it's not as bad as they're making it seem in the media. On the other hand, they're talking about the delineation exercise in Warri, and people, different war camps are fighting about that. So do you think right now that this has garnered enough attention to get the attention of the government, and that they get focus on this and all these other matters happening will not serve as a distraction?
You see, the thing is that wherever you have problem in Delta State, it is government responsibility to resolve it. It does not matter how many layers or whatever it is. The reason government exists is for the security and welfare of the people. In Abraka, where you have that story of insecurity and the rest of that, even in Kwale, where we're talking about this, like the insecurity, okay? It's just that we are trying to prioritize, we're asking for, because there's a way, if you have lights, it takes care of so many things, even in security itself. When you light up a city, okay, at night, everybody sees everyone, and you're able to know who's doing what, when, and how. It's part of security, okay? But the government is not ready to spend a dime on the people. What they want to do is to keep embezzling money and be moving from one political party to the other to cover their atrocities, okay, and all that. So that's exactly what they're doing. But the people are not saying that at the time, when was the last time you heard in the news that people were protesting in Ndokwa land? We're not giving to protest.
It was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, we're not giving to protest. The Ndokwa man is very patient and sometimes very fearful. But you see, when you push a man to by the time if you keep anyone in darkness for so long, he will become a beast and he will come after you. Yes, because you have incubated, you have destroyed him. Okay, and that is why they are saying that no, you have to do the needful. The issue of roads, those ones are there, perennial, been there for long.
For decades.
Yes, the issue of the schools and all that for long, Because the school in Delta, we saw children sitting on the floor learning and water coming on them and the rest of that. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That government should do what it ought to do. It's not about politics. It's about governance. They are busy with politics, moving from one political party to the other. And we're saying, no, come and do exactly what you're supposed to do. It's no longer, you can no longer tell us in this day and age that the issue of power has to do with the federal government. You can't tell us that. Right. That's wrong.
It's a lot to stomach at this point in time, especially, I could hear the pain from your voice, but we want to say thank you for joining us, and hopefully we will track back with you to see if we can speak with the woman whose husband is still in detention get these facts from you, because it's our job to ensure we balance this. So we've heard from the government side, we've heard from your side, but let's also hear from the victim's side so that we can balance the story in total. Thank you so much, Mr.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Anyway, if you think that's all, another video circulated over the weekend, and this time it's from one drama to the other. This time it showed an administrator who was forced to resign. We do not know if you've seen that video, but it's going to be part of our conversation that we'll have here on Breakfast Central. We'll go for a quick break as we leave you with that video, and when we come back, we'll have more discussions, and not forgetting to stay with us and drop a comment or two on our socials. We'll be right back. Opposition leaders under the platform of the Nigerian National Coalition Group have adopted the All Democratic Alliance, ADA, and applied to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to register it as a party ahead of the 2027 election. The application letter of the coalition, dated June 19, 2025, and addressed to the INEC chairman, as obtained by pressmen over the weekend, was co-signed by the national chairman of ADA, Chief Akeem Ricketts, and the pro-team national secretary, Abdullahi Musa Elayo.
The coalition movement is allegedly being formed by a collection of opposition leaders drawn from the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party, as well as disgruntled members of the All Progressives Congress, with names like El-Rufai and David Mark allegedly being thrown around as those behind its formation. Joining us to react to this development with a focus on whether this new coalition poses a threat to the APC is a chieftain of the APC, Honorable Akeem Akintayo. Good morning, Honorable Akintayo. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, my sister. Thank you, Nigerians, for having me this morning.
All right. Let's get your thoughts on the ADA, the All Democratic Alliance. Have you heard about it? What are your thoughts about it?
You know, when you mentioned
Mr. Akintayo, are you there? Anyway, network connectivity issues there. Hopefully we're able to reconnect and establish a connection with our guests who would be talking about this. Well, don't forget, he is a member of the All Progressives Congress, and we would like to get his thoughts on the coalition. Are you there? Are you back?
I'm back. I think
right.
I was on call. I'm here now.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you were trying to talk about the people within the ADA, you actually were right on point when you said disgruntled APC members, and I don't think it's only disgruntled APC members. I think they are made up of disgruntled politicians who were in the helms of affairs just not long ago. So the aspect of the sincerity of purpose in their quest to form an alternative to APC, I don't think they are actually serious. Because for God's sake, if the Nigerians will question their credibility, look at all the so-called gladiators or the face of the ADA. Most of them have been in power. Are you talking about Atiku Abubakar, who was vice president of this country for 8 good years? You talk about Amechi, who was governor for 8 years, minister for almost 8 years. And in fact, the Nigerians should be asking them, what have they rendered to the movement or the growth of Nigeria when they were in power? Let's start from Atiku himself. When he was in government for 8 years, what was his credentials? What was his legacy? And we heard of so many things that he did at the detriment of the country when he was in power, when he was vice president. There are a lot of allegations of him selling national assets to his friends, himself, and his relative. So what are they talking about? What other alternative? In fact, I was even expecting new faces to champion this cause. But you see, when you have people who were either formerly in APC or PDP coming together and want to maybe whitewash Nigerians as progressive or patriots, I don't think they are actually
if I may interject at this point,
Nigerians.
Honorable Akintayo, we want to go on a very short break. We'll come back to continue the conversation. Please stay on board. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still speaking with Honorable Akeem Akintayo, who's an APC chieftain, and we're trying to get his thoughts regarding the All Democratic Alliance, ADA, and what the implications of the ADA might mean. Now, Honorable Akintayo, let's talk about this new development. You were referring to my introduction when I said disgruntled members of the APC were behind this, but we also know that members of the PDP, the Labour Party, I mean, this is what we've gathered right now. But talk to us about the APC's reaction, or how the APC is feeling about this latest development. Does this pose a threat to the APC, or is this maybe just another political experiment?
I think the last word is very, very important. Is the key to the answer you want me to give, which is just another political experiment. Well, for lack of words or being mild, I would say expired politicians, because if you look at their resume as leaders and key stakeholders in the Nigerian projects for the past maybe 25 years, most of them have never had any value. Now, coming to APC, I don't think APC
Well, it seems that we have a very difficult challenge here having this interview with our guest due to network connectivity issues. We really hope that this could be fixed from your end so that we can continue this conversation. But if you can hear us, please, let's give it another try. Go ahead with your response.
Yeah, right now. I'm with you right now. So
yes, go ahead. You were talking about the APC stand, or stance rather.
Go ahead, are you there? Okay, seems like we might have to move on. It's quite difficult having this conversation, but it's one that we should have, especially with the formation of the opposition coalition party, which was indeed formed just this weekend. We would love to get reactions from the current All Progressives Congress, which is the current ruling party, to know if there's any form of suspense or any worries, if at all. But like we rightly said, these are conversations we look forward to have. In the meantime, hopefully we can get our guests to join, maybe not now, some other time, or better still, we can get another APC chieftain to also join us and speak on what they think about the coalition. Will it stand the test of time? Is this another experiment? Or will it be one that will shake the polity and get everyone ready?
I think more importantly is who is behind this coalition. Are we certain? Because a number of names are being flown around, but we're not quite sure who are behind the coalition. So let's see if we can reconnect once again with Honorable Akeem Akintayo, who has been joining us to talk about the latest regarding the coalition. Honorable Akintayo, are you here? All right. Let's hope that the network allows us to have a conversation this time. Please go ahead. You were speaking about, I had asked you if this is a threat to the APC or if it's a political experiment, and you were speaking about the APC. I think you can pick up from there.
I think, like I was trying to tell you, from the APC angle, I think we are not perturbed. You can see the kind of confidence building that our party members are reposing on the president, on the government at the center. You can see even the migration of political heavyweights from the grassroots to the state level to the APC. So if APC is a bit perturbed, I think it can be the other way around. But as for the APC, I think we have just focused on delivering dividends of democracy to Nigeria. That's what Nigeria voted us for 4 years. And I think Mr. President, that I know, is someone that is not new to the game. He has been in the murky water of politics for many years. He has been the governor, and even you can see even in 2003 there were attempts to even defeat him, in 2003 rather. So, and it didn't work. And then the system was not as robust as it is right now. So, Mr. President and the APC as a party, I think we are very, very ready for the AD and the alliances. Like I said, most of them have nothing to offer. They have been there before. Some of them left Nigeria worse than what we met in 2015. And the courage to take some bold economic decision that this government has made. And if you're hardship, like some of them will say they are hungry. They are not hungry to help Nigerians, they are hungry for themselves. And the Nigerians are not going to be gullible this time around. They know those who really want to work for them, and they know those who are just there hungry for power, to grab power, to enrich themselves and their family. This president that we have is a very focused person. He has even all the policy that he promised during the campaign is what he's implementing, and even some of them also copied from his the manifesto. Like, for example, the removal of subsidy and the floating of the naira. All these were part of the campaign promises of Mr. President, and of course the rejigging of the security architecture and what have you. Of course, he talked about the reform in the educational sector. All these are what Mr. President is implementing. So I don't know what else that the opposition wants to implement that is different for what Mr. President is implementing to make Nigeria better. Look at the economy. The economics is rebounding. Yes, we know there were inflation, because you can see inflation has dropped from almost 37.5% to about 22% of recent in the last 2 years. These are indicators that the economy is on the right track. And of course, you talk about if you want to talk about the floating of naira, you can see from 2,000 naira we are almost at 1,500, which is the natural figure of naira to dollar, because we cannot continue to pretend. For God's sake, these people were in government, they didn't have the courage to remove subsidy. They were part of the people that took part in the subsidy scam for almost 30 years.
But they would, Mr. Akintayo, correct me to butt in. Mr. Akintayo, I'm sorry to cut in, but they would disagree with that statement you just made. And I'm wondering if you know why they would disagree with that. A cross-section, not just of the opposition political parties, but a cross-section of Nigerians will disagree with that statement you made. The reason is because if you track back to when the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, was going to remove subsidy, it's the same members of this current political party that stood firm and said, he will not do so. And this led to what, of course, I believe you know the title and the name, which gathered a lot of protests from different parts of the country. And it begs to worry that currently the same subsidy that was stopped back then is being attributed to be the biggest achievement of the current administration. So what has really changed? And are you going to use that as a yardstick to say that this is the antecedents that has been really met by the current administration? But anyway, it's just a thought for you to actually look into. And secondly, you might also want to react to the fact that the ADA is saying that only a coalition can change things in Nigeria by kicking the APC out. You might want to react to my summations.
Well, let me react to the last part when you talked about coalition, the only coalition. For me, what they are forming is just a charade. It's not really a coalition. If you check back memory lane, just of recent in 2013, when APC was vetted, it was actually a sincere drive to form a coalition. You were a coalition of like minds, a coalition from different parties. But this one we're having right now is just, for me, a coalition of hungry politicians looking for power. I don't think they are like the version we had in 2013, where political party collapsed their structure into one. For God's sake, even if you look at the effort they tried to make to form coalition, they tried going to SDP. They didn't succeed. SDP chased them out. They tried to snatch SDP from the current management. They resisted them. They went into ADC. ADC also resisted them. Now they say they want to form their own party. For God's sake, it's not a coalition. It's just an alliance of self-centered politicians, if I may put it that way, because it is what it is. Because for God's sake, if someone like, permit me to mention what, somebody like El-Rufai had gotten his appointment as a minister, will he be talking about coalition today? Are you talking of even Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency? If he had won the election in 2023, would he be talking of coalition today? Or you talk about Amechi that almost collapsed the APC with his maneuvering, but God was greater than him. If he had won the ticket of APC in 2022 in the presidential primary, will he be talking of coalition today? For God's sake, I don't think there is anything like coalition. It's just a coming together of, like I said, people who either are falling out from the power that be, or they are disenchanted because their interest was not protected. It's not about Nigeria. If it's about Nigeria, they will reform their previous party. They will stay in their previous party to, entrench the ideology that they think is lacking. They will fight within, like some of us do. For example, I have never thought of going to any political parties in 2013. Some of us joined as a foundation member. Not that the APC is perfect. We have our differences, but we want to stay in APC and reform and make a better party and a better Nigeria. So the issue of coalition to save Nigeria or to give a better alternative to APC, I don't think is actually a sincere thought from the masterminds of the ADA or the coalition. Now, going back to your the question about removal of subsidy. Well, I, for one, I have been a champion of a removal of subsidy because I feel it's an avenue that have been draining this country economically. And if we have to get this country moving, we must restructure the foundation of our economy, which is our import and exports, balance of trade. And if you look at it very well, we even import more refined product than we even export crude oil. And if you look at it very well, most of our revenue from crude were actually being moved to importation of PMS. I've been an advocate of removal of subsidy. And I can tell you for sure that Nigeria is better off without subsidy. And if you talk about 2012, when some of our key leaders were campaigning against the removal of subsidy, well, at that time, the government of the day was seen as, to say, a bit not sincere, because there were a lot of examples of scam that was committed by that same people around that government who were enjoying loot from the first subsidy regime. So at that point, our leaders felt, look, it's better you reform the people around you, reform the cartel around the government of that day, than just go ahead and remove subsidy that will have better repercussion on the people. And if you look at it that time, there was no plan to revive any other private refinery or public refinery. But here, they were planned by the Adon government, which is the immediate past government, to at least put the refinery into shape.
All right, Honorable Akintayo, we have to wrap up the conversation now, but thank you so much for your time with us. We clearly are not sure who are behind this coalition. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, we hear, has distanced himself from this coalition. His Excellency Peter Obi hasn't spoken about it yet, so I'm guessing in the next few days we would get to find out who the real persons behind this coalition are. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back from the break, we have other stories to share with you. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has tasked the board and the management of the IBB International Golf Club in Abuja to devise ways and means of generating revenue for the club so as to add value to the FCT administration. This was as he visited the golf club, which was built in 1991, and assured the chairman and members of the club that the FCTA will support its renovation to position the club as one of Abuja's leading tourist attractions. Amadine Uyi brings us more in this report.
The Minister of the FCT had visited the IBB Golf Course located within the city center. The golf course was built in 1991 and is one of the Federal Capital's notable tourist attractions.
This golf club is internationally recognized as one of the best in sub-Saharan Africa and indeed in the world. It continues to be the social, cultural, recreational, and tourism spotlight of the FCT.
Chairman of the Facilities Board of Trustees appealed to the Minister for renovation of the course, saying that its equipment and facility are gradually breaking down.
The facility has become worn out due to excessive use and little maintenance.
The FCT Minister Nyesom Wike commended the board for trying their best to ensure that the golf course is operational. He assured that the FCTA will support its renovation.
To be assured that we are going to give all the necessary support. I mean, this is what everybody would like to have. Anybody who has good taste, anybody who means well for this country. These are the kind of things you must encourage.
He, however, tasked members of the board to be committed to the success of the club and shun actions that will act against its growth and interest.
But all of you should know that we are monitoring everybody. If we see any move by any person to sabotage whatever we are doing, that's what we can do. We will take you out. You cannot be an enemy for the progress of what we are doing.
He urged the board to devise new ways to ensure that the golf club generates income and adds value to the FCTA. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
And now moving on to another story. Infamous bandits leader Wakilim Jambros and other bandits in Beningwari and Chikun local government areas of Kaduna State say that they are committed to maintaining peace in the area following the surrender of their weapons to the Kaduna State government. This also followed a peace pact signed between the bandits and state government officials, which has entered its 6th month. In an investigative tour around crisis-prone areas of Kaduna State, News Central television crew visited Beningwari and they spoke with some of the repentant bandits who say that they will only keep to their part of the agreement as long as the government fulfills its own part. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu brings us more in this report.
Wakil Jambros, a notorious bandit currently involved in the ongoing peace deal, recounted his days as a terrorist to News Central Television. Jambros and his cohorts say they were responsible for several attacks that sent many financial institutions relocating from Kaduna, Niger, Sokoto, Zamfara and Katsina State to safer areas of operations. Our investigation into the impact of the peace treaty between the Kaduna State government and the terrorists took us through these dangerous paths, bandits' enclaves and other areas where thousands of commuters and residents were killed and displaced. This is Labi village, where terrorists forcefully relocated residents into the forest for informing security operatives about their activities on the highways. Other villages like Sabon Odawa have its inhabitants still unable to return despite the peace deal between the state government and the bandits signed over 5 months ago. The leadership of the Mieta Allah Cattle Breeders Association gave an explanation on the current situation.
To da in an gaba fillatani a mota sauke shi ake ko mace ko namiji za a yi ta challenging ɗinka a kai ka a rufe a an shi maƙudai kuɗi hannunka har ma a kashe ka bayan ma an shi kuɗi hannunka a bakin, amma yanzu babu wannan.
Yanzu dai waccan hanyar da aka ƙi wadda dama mu muka ga ita ta cancanta a bita, to kuma yanzu ga ta gwamnati ya gane ita ce alheri kuma ta neme mu kuma muka nemi mutanen nan aka yi zama da su.
Residents who confirmed the peace deal say that the terrorists have laid down their arms for now and are now being reintegrated back to society.
To a yanzu za ka yi tafiya kamar na mil 5 mil 6 ka haɗe da su ku gaisa lami lafiya alhamdulillah. Akwai ɗaya wanda bai wuce kaman wata 3 suka wuce ba yayi aure a garin nan yana garin nan haka yanzu zaune.
To confirm this, new central crew sought to meet with the repentant terrorists, but of course with the help of Hambali Muhammad, the Sarkin Zangan Banangwari, the leader of the cattle market.
Amma yanzu alhamdulillah ga munan da su cikin gasuri ranar da ba kasuwa ba su shigo kowa ya hudu da kuma alhamdulillah an samu canji a garin.
Wakilin Jambras is the assistant of Yellow Jambras, one of the most feared and dreaded bandits the Nigerian military claimed to have surrendered in 2024. The Jambras have over 1,000 terrorists under them, but are now in talks with government to end the bloodshed.
Inda so ya zama samu, amma ka san shi komai daga Ubangiji ne. Sai Ubangiji ya jarabce mu, in Allah ya sa muna da rabon cinye jarabawa sai mu cinye. Saboda ba abin da ke dorewa. Tunda Allah ya ce fa inna ma'al usri yusra, inna ma'al usri yusra. Ba abin da ya gagari Allah. Ai dama barin Allah mukai. Yanzu kuma da aka dawo ba a samu sauki ba. To ka gani da in an ce ka zo inda za ka gani za ka zo, ni zan zo inda zan ganka. Ka ga in ka gani na zama abinci, in na ganka ka zama abinci. To amma yau
mun gode ma gwamnati, mun gode ma Allah. Allah ubangiji sa a dace.
While stakeholders have continued to criticize the amnesty given to these terrorists, the government claims it is a deal worth doing in the interest of peace.
You know, I remember that time Barrister Mark Jacob asked MB Tuku. They are both lawyers. They grew up together in Kafanja, in Zonkwa. He said, MBA, is it my grandfather's land that you are after now?
But the state is now using its own resources, you know, to enter into a kind of a deal with these criminals, to the extent that the state said it's going to use its own money to rehabilitate them. These are people that have coerced communities to cough out hundreds of millions. What are they doing with the money that they took from the people? Is that not enough to settle them?
Mana gayyatan duk waɗanda suke da wadata su zo binnin gwari don su zuba jari. Suna ma iya zuwa don su tabbatar da abin haka ne ko ba haka ba, su aiko ko su bi hanyoyin da ya kamata. Akwai jami'an tsaro za su iya samun labarai a wurinsu na yadda binnin gwari take yanzu, kuma na san kuma shaida ne tun daga shi kun zo kuma za ku kuma insha Allah lahiya lau ba matsala.
The area actively involved in agriculture and food production is now recovering from the destruction of terrorism and banditry. However, commercial vehicle operators continue to insist that there is an existence of bad element despite the peace deal.
Ko ajiya sun kashe mutum guda. It's been 5 months since the signing of the peace deal between the Kaduna State government and the terrorists operating here in Chikun and Birnin Gwari local government area of the state. It is expected that both sides will keep to their own side of the bargain and allow citizens to go back to their various means of livelihood, which is agriculture. Here in Birnin Gwari local government area of Kaduna State, for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Great package there by Emmanuel Bagudu that I'm sure has elicited a number of mixed reactions from some people. We go back to 2016 when we look at the Operation Safe Corridor that sought to reintegrate terrorists back into the society. And when we look at the reintegration of terrorists, the argument that a lot of these northern leaders would give is that the military power is not enough to be able to ensure some measure of stability in the region when it comes to insecurity challenges. So they have to balance military intervention with the reintegration of terrorists as a means to, one, weaken them from the inside and, give them enough time to be able to maybe devise further strategy to combat this. But then again, when we are looking at security, there's also the issue of justice. A number of Nigerians have felt betrayed by these reintegration of terrorists because these are the people who have had to bear the brunt of terrorist activities, people who have lost loved ones, lost businesses as a result of terrorism. And when something like that happens, what you want is justice. For a number of people, justice would mean these terrorists being apprehended and made to face the law. But unfortunately, that's not what has happened. Whilst President Bola Tinubu has not, I don't know that they've officially made a statement about it, but we've seen that the terrorist reintegration is still going on. And it will still be a very controversial issue in Nigeria for a long time to come.
It is. I think we're battling with a lot of security challenges as we speak. Right from the start of this show, we had looked at the avenues and the angles of the new security threats. And if you look at that, one may wonder, when are we going to get it right? Now, this has also been highlighted as a non-kinetic approach to ensuring that security is dealt with. Even experts have said, yes, there's nothing wrong in reintegrating these persons back into the society. But we've seen the negative aspect of it, where some of them have even come with claims that they have repented, but they turn around and do the next. But then again, it's a conversation we're going to have as we continue to coast through the entire show. Let's go for breakfast headlines, which is up next. Thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at the latest stories from news making rounds around Nigeria and outside of the country. Well, let's begin with news that the change of guard in ECOWAS regional bloc has indeed been done. Well, the president of Sierra Leone, Julius, has emerged the new chairman of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. This comes as Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu's two-term leadership of the bloc comes to an end. The handover took place at the 67th ordinary session in Abuja on Sunday, ending Tinubu's two-term leadership of the regional bloc. Contrary to earlier reports, President Bio was elected chairman and pledged to focus on restoring constitutional order, enhancing democracy, boosting regional security, advancing economic integration and strengthening ECOWAS institutions. Tinubu was first elected chair in July 2023 and re-elected in 2024 to ensure continuity in addressing security and development challenges in West Africa. President Bola Tinubu has condemned the suicide bombing that occurred in Konduga, Borno State over the weekend, describing the incident as an act of cowardice. In a statement issued on Sunday by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanuga, the president expressed anguish over the attack and mourned those who lost their lives. Tinubu called on security agencies to intensify efforts in flushing out remnants of the Boko Haram insurgents, who he said now target civilians in soft locations. The president extended his condolences to the government and people of Borno State and directed the National Emergency Management Agency to support survivors. Let's go now to River State, where Police Command has confirmed the assault and mutiny of the Ahoada West Local Government Administrator Goodluck Iheanacho on Friday. A statement by the River State Police Public Relations Officer Grace Irene Koko revealed that a group of hoodlums numbering 30, led by the Chief Security Officer and the Chief of Staff to the LG Administrator, stormed the Council Secretariat and attacked him. In a viral video, the Administrator was seen being beaten with a machete and canes by some hoodlums alongside the Council Secretary, coercing him to resign. Although a letter purporting to be his resignation has gone viral, The LG administrator went on radio on Saturday to deny ever resigning. According to the police, the local government administrator is currently recuperating in the hospital, while the suspected culprits have been invited for questioning at the state police headquarters. The legislative matters, the Senate Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution will hold a 2-day public hearing across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones on July 4th and 5th, 2025. Chaired by Deputy Senate President Senator Barau Jibrin, the hearings will take place simultaneously in Lagos, Enugu, Ikotekpene, Jos, Maiduguri, and Kano. The goal is to gather citizens' views on proposed constitutional amendments covering key issues such as local government autonomy, electoral and judicial reforms, state creation, and establishment of state police. Other topics include fiscal reforms, gender equity, and more seats for women in legislatures, strengthening traditional institutions, independent candidacy in elections, and diaspora voting rights. Let's go outside of Nigeria now. Iran has vowed to respond to recent U.S. airstrikes on 3 of its nuclear sites, with President Masoud Pezeshkian stating that the United States must receive a response for their aggression. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump claimed the strikes took the bomb right out of their hands, emphasizing the goal was to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, not regime change. The UN's nuclear watchdog said it cannot yet assess the damage at the underground Fordo facility. Iran's foreign minister, however, insisted that their nuclear knowledge can't be destroyed by bombing. Tensions remain high as Iran and Israel continue exchanging fire, with Israel targeting dozens of military sites, while the Iranian Red Crescent accuses Israel of hitting hospitals and medical centers. Don't forget to send in your eyewitness reports and let us know should you, be witness to any of the stories around your neighborhood. You can send it to the number on the screen and let us know what story it is. And don't forget to also follow us on all socials. And don't forget to also watch News Central live on all our digital platforms, plus all our news channels. Breakfast Central continues. We'll be bringing you the front pages of the newspapers in a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. We do have public affairs analysts joining us for the front pages of the newspapers. Mr. Habib Aruna, who's a journalist with repute. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Without further ado, we're going to go straight to the stories. Very, very interesting stories that we must look at. Don't forget that you can be part of the front pages of the newspapers by calling the number right there on the screen to react to either of the stories and let us know what you think about that. I'm going to start off with our very first newspaper, This Day newspaper. I think we should start with This Day newspaper and see what we have there. The men who could face President Bola Tinubu come 2027. It says 2027, the challengers. Kind of like reminds me of what we were used to while we were younger. I'm talking about those who knew what it was when you had pads in hand. Anyway, for those who understand where I'm going, I'm talking about the generation of games and so on. But then again, you have challenges and their faces there. You have to pick one or select one. I'm going to ask my guests if you were to pick one. Which one would you pick in the faces that you have there? You've got former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. You have as well Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso. No doubt, you know how strong he is in the north. You have the one who has never stopped. He will keep pushing. He's a challenger as well, Mr. Atiku Alhaji, I beg your pardon, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who's a former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and of course a former Governor and Minister, Mr. Rotimi Amechi as well. You do have Peter Obi, not forgetting too, many others. But we're going to start off with that story, which has led to what we call the coalition that we've seen, ADA, A-D-A. Let's take that story first. What's your take on the challenges that we see there? We also hear rumors that some are saying that ADA, they're not part of ADA, A-D-A. It seems like there's another coalition coming as well. So it's a divide. You have that of the former member of parliament talking about David Mark, divided by so many. What's your take?
I think the writer of that story got it right. Because the names mentioned, the name on that front page are the possible challengers of President Tinubu. And these are people that have the pedigree, people that have the history, people that have the experience, people that are electable, you know, that can really challenge the current president. It will be difficult for me to pinpoint a single person, you know, who can pose that challenge. But if you look at all of them, Atiku Abubakar, former Senate President Sharaki, Rabi Kwankwaso, Peter Obi, Shekarau, you know, these are people that can push it. Amechi, Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, former Minister of Transport. These are people that can really push a challenge, you know. But it will be difficult for me to point someone. But like I look at this program, it will be imperative for the opposition parties to form a coalition to try to pose a challenge to the current president. It will be very difficult to defeat Tinubu based on his experience, based on his history, based on the fact that he's a master of the game. You know, the only way to challenge him, and considering the nature and character of Nigerian politics, is to have a coalition, an alliance of major political parties. Then that alliance will now come out with a name, with all of these names I'm seeing on the front page of this day. With a good alliance, good network, and good grassroots support and structures, they can put a challenge to Tinubu. Any of them. But they must have that structure on ground, coalition of opposition parties. That's the only way to go.
Do you think, I mean, if you look at the front page there, you have so many faces. So the question now is, who would allow the other to run as the front man, as the leader, while who would stay behind to ensure that they oversee everything that will happen from behind the scenes? Because if you say one person should represent the coalition party and run as the front man, as the man who would challenge the president, I'm sure many of them here, none would want to stay at the back seat. I think, for instance, there are questions whether the former vice president should eventually take a back seat and allow others to run, using his knowledge, experience to...
That's a fine question. Well, you need to juxtapose it with the experience of APC, how the APC emerged in 2014. Early 2014. You know, the mastermind of that coalition is the current president, President Tinubu. And learning from experience, the APC members, because I was also very much involved, Mohammed, information of APC. The members of that coalition realized one thing from the beginning, that they must come together. NPP, CPC, ACN, they must come together under an umbrella. And they also agree from the beginning that the only person that can win this thing for us is Muhammadu Buhari. I don't believe that Buhari had the block vote from the north. Now combine that from that of the southwest, they will be on a roller coaster to win. You know, the problem these current people will face is that there's no any person like a Buhari in their midst. How are they going to share their ambition and allow someone that like Peter Obi, someone like Kwankwaso, someone like Sharaki, you know, to be the arrowhead of that, to spearhead that coalition and lead them? That is the question they'll be facing. You know, how are they going to sacrifice their ambition for a single person to run another umbrella? That will be the question that Nigerians are watching. But APC did not face that problem. Because they knew have an issue that Buhari is the one that can give them the vote. And they build it on the platform of anti-corruption crusader, even though it turned out to be a fluke, you know. But that was what Nigeria, because Nigeria want to see a coalition of an organized coalition, unified coalition, with a message that can resonate with them. That's the only way they can pose a challenge to the formidability of President Tinubu.
Okay, let's look at another one. All right, Olive, you have some.
Let's go to another newspaper this morning. And the next newspaper we will look at would be the Daily Independent.
I don't know. Do you want to look at this day still? We haven't taken the big one, the big one at the top there.
All right, let's take that one. Yes, Tinubu to West African leaders turn region's democratic strength, mineral wealth into jobs industry. Okonjo-Iweala, West Africa must break trade barriers to unlock $550 billion potential. We know that President Tinubu has handed over to Julius Maada of Sierra Leone, exactly. So let's get your thoughts on that. And the implication, does Nigeria still have that influence and that voice in ECOWAS as it typically would, owing to the fact that not just was our president the chairman, our contribution to the GDP of ECOWAS, you know, in population, in democratic policies and the likes. Do we still have that level of influence?
No, Nigeria, without a doubt, is the most influential country in the sub-region. You know, our market is the biggest politically, we have the population, and when Nigeria sneezes, those guys catch cold. So we've been very powerful, very influential in the sub-region over the years, since the time of Tafawa Balewa. You know, but the question is that how influential, how formidable, how strong is that bloc, the current reality of global politics? That is the question. It's a mere talk shop, in my view. They meet regularly and drink tea, that they did yesterday. What is the impact? What is the impact of ECOWAS now, apart from free movement?
Do we even have that free movement?
Yes. We go to Ghana, we don't need to take a visa. They stamp it at the airport, yes. There's no any hindrance, no any restrictions, no, to movement in this region. But how beneficial is it economically to people in the region? Even though Nigeria has been, if you remember, Nigeria has, because of ECOWAS and their rules and regulations, Nigeria has not been able to close its borders to the Republic. You'll be helpful to Togo, another, even Sierra Leone. I look at our role during ECOMOG, Babangida, Allah, Abacha. So Nigeria has been driving the group, the regional group. But how effective are they? Are they changing? Are they dynamic? Because the world is changing. The global world is a changing thing. Okay. So how effective are they trying to fit into it?
That's another thing.
People in the region will benefit.
All right, let's take a call from Osas. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning, New Central.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay. I would like to contribute to your program, particularly the gentleman you were interviewing concerning the Alliance for Democracy, the new party that is about to be registered. When you make mention of subsidy, you know, I just want to put it straight to him. Maybe the gentleman cannot remember what happened. This present president, President Tinubu, was a sponsor of that protest against President Jonathan in 2011 or 2012, January. I participated in it. We were mobilized, both in Ojota and under the bridge in National Stadium. We were there. President Tinubu, Professor Wole Soyinka, and Today Bakari, they were the sponsor of that subsidy removal, the protest. So what I expect President Tinubu to have done, when he was saying subsidy is gone, is to first of all apologize to President Jonathan. That now I can see better. That we really stopped you from removing it then. But now I can see better. I apologize to you for not allowing you to remove the subsidy then. So let's keep the record straight. See, today I'm expecting President Tinubu to apologize to President Jonathan. Even me, I have apologized. I'm also using this million to apologize to President Jonathan then, because I joined the protest against the subsidy removal. So that is just what I want to correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Do you agree with him that President Tinubu owes President Jonathan an apology?
Yeah, that's the right of his opinion, personal opinion. But what he's saying is not particularly out of line. God, President, the then former governor, Senator Bola Tinubu, was constantly criticizing Jonathan.
But maybe
and his policy. So you have the right, but for him to apologize to Jonathan, I don't think so.
Follow up with his sentiments. I think it had to do with one of the APC members that joined the show. He had highlighted one of the benefits of the current administration, pointing to the removal of subsidy. And I think his question, his reviews comes from a question I had asked the guest, that would you say that one of the things you're highlighting as, the transformation or transformative success of the current administration in removing subsidy can also or cannot be traced back to what Jonathan did? Because he was saying that the current administration or the previous administration had been there for years, they did nothing. And I had to remind him that they also had removed subsidy, but the current president did not allow it to hold. He said no, and then they gathered every other person. Remember, as far back as back then. And I think that's what he's highlighting, that if Jonathan had done so in the past and it was kicked against, and the current president is doing so, then he should apologize to the former president.
Okay, let's take a call from Kano. Khalid is calling. Good morning, Khalid. Please.
Good morning. Good morning, News Central. Hello.
Hello. Good morning. We can hear you. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning. I would like to give my contribution. I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. About what is daily trust pay, these challenges. So, if we recall what's happening on National Assembly, at National Assembly, there is no contributor for Nigeria like Saraki. He did well. He did well. Can you hear me?
Hear you. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. You have limited time. Go on.
Yeah, he worked for Nigeria. There is no National Assembly work for Nigeria like Saraki when he's the president of the Senate. He was leading as Senate president. That can you hear me?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Point. He's talking about the coalition and highlighting one person there, which is Saraki. Earlier on, we had talked about who would actually have to step back for the other person and who would be willing to work from behind the scenes. But Khalid says he thinks Saraki should be the right person to do the job. Let's take this story still on this day. Outrage over killing of 71 in Borno, Kano, Kebbi, Plateau, Shetima, Mufwang condemn attacks. The president also condemned the attacks. I do not know if you've seen the video we want to show to you. There's an alleged kidnap of a justice in Plateau State. We took that story this morning. We do have confirmation from, security operatives who say, yes, it was a kidnap, but it was staged in form of a security force that was going to apprehend him. Let's see if we can get our producer to put up that clip there that took place in Plateau State, where they say one of the justices was kidnapped. But in a way, it looks like it was security operatives who were apprehending or taking him away. But it was whisked away in the dark of the night. And this has further laid emphasis on the need for security to be dealt with immediately. But let's add that to what we see that happened over the weekend. 71 in Borno, Kano, Kebbi, Plateau, suicide bomber, and the likes.
I think it's becoming very alarming and scary. My brother. The president was in Plateau State last Wednesday. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? On Wednesday. And we've been seeing these incessant killings. The governor of Plateau State raised an alarm about 2 weeks ago that these guys, the terrorists and bandits, they are coming up again. They are becoming too daring in the attack. And that the president should not listen to sycophants. The president should listen to his security chiefs. But I don't think our security agencies are doing enough. Because when people are dying, we have to raise our brow to be on the front page. You know, as well as that happened yesterday, the president issued a statement from the presidency that those people involved should be arrested. The IG and the CDS were directed once again to do the right thing. For how long? It's not working. So I think that should be another way of dealing with these things. You know, and they should show Nigerians that they are capable. No, but from what we are seeing, there is no any way to, other way to assume that they are becoming increasingly incapable of dealing with this security. So, and the president has a duty to take an action on them. So Nigerians are not convinced that they're doing enough. People are feeling unsafe. If you can kidnap a judge in the state, then we have a problem on our hands. So the president should do something, you know, people are not doing enough. But who's even addressing Nigerians and what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's the video. You
So
know,
you
take
see-
the video quickly before we go straight to the caller.
We have a call coming. Let's take the call. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Alhaji Hassan Mohammed Ndabagi. I'm calling from.
Calling from where?
I want to talk about the ill-time subsidy removal by the current administration of analyst Bola Tinubu. I think when somebody is being ushered into a new building or into administration, the first thing you need to do, you need to open the door and go inside. So after saying the size of where you want to live and where you want to operate. But unfortunately, our beloved president made a pronouncement at the podium of his swearing-in, where a lot of Nigerians are going through untold hardship. Almost 60% of small-scale and medium businesses have collapsed because if you have 10 million as at then, now it is just 500,000 because of the economic policy. And when you look at a lot of families can no longer feed themselves because you are on 20,000 naira salary. And a lot of states have been told to go into so-called salary increment. And all of a sudden, even the FCT could not even give out the money to some of their workers. It is sad and unfortunate. So I will urge the president, since the policy has affected Nigerians greatly, it's something that he has done greatly that we appreciate him because he did a direct importation of food, grains, and other with a waiver. But unfortunately, it's not reaching out to those in need. It's reaching out to production companies and manufacturers as against the basic requirements. Now, we should tell ourselves the truth. The other president said we should eat the homegrown products to improve the naira. But unfortunately, it is at the benefit of the farmers and at the detriment of Nigerians. Instead of giving us fair competition, you're buying foreign rice almost the same price with the one that you want to support in Korea also. I will urge the president to focus on opening the border like he just said, so that this thing will work hand in hand with what we have locally until we are self-sufficient on those areas before we can close border. You can't starve yourself because you want to carry out policy, economic policy that has no benefit to the people. So I think I'll urge the president to import more food, also especially the flowers, the maize, the wheat, the rice, etc. So that when people have enough food to eat, then when we have bumper harvest, the thing will compete on both sides of it. But today you see that we are exporting things that we don't have enough to eat. You see pepper going to Cameroon, 10, 20 trailers, and you are buying a custard of pepper to 6,000, something that ordinarily also has been 2,000. Why not sanction on the exportation? Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you
for joining us and sharing your thoughts. I want us to take another paper, the Daily Independent newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper, a number of stories crop up. Struggling banks face hurdles to navigate recapitalization. About 10 lenders under CBN watch for recapitalization risks. PFA's record good showing on ROI in H1 2025 amid economic headwinds. Federal government backs construction of $400 million solid mineral plant, eyes 10,000 jobs. How fiscal authority can raise revenue, cut borrowing, and this is by analysts. Presidency berates Lamido for saying Tinubu backed June 12th annulment. SERP asked Tinubu to seek ICC intervention in Benue massacre. ECOWAS chair Tinubu hands over to Sierra Leone's Julius Maada bill. Airlines link increase in fares to price of jet A1 at 1,359 naira or 1,315 naira per liter, and they say products more expensive in Nigeria than US. And the final story here: PDP accuses INEC of plot to destabilize NEC meeting. Let's start with that. PDP has accused INEC. They're saying, of course, with the drama, INEC has said that they're not going to approve it because there has to be signatory or a signing by the national chairman. I think that's national secretary, I beg your pardon. I think that's what's causing an issue, because last week we talked about this. There's a camp that believes that Samuel Anyanwu is the national secretary. There's another camp who believes Ude Okoye is the national secretary. And until they resolve this, it would seem that they may not be able to go forward. But they are alleging now that INEC is planning to destabilize their NEC meeting, which is supposed to happen on the 30th of June.
The PDP should put its house in order. There's a Supreme Court judgment affirming the fact that Anyanwu is the authentic secretary. You may not like it.
So the argument to that one is
yes.
that maybe what they're saying is that because I know that there's a judgment that says that these are the issues should be resolved within the party, and then they will now say that they are falling back to the constitution. So I think that they're different. Both parts feel like they have very valid arguments, and they can't go to court because court has said that they should resolve it in-house.
So what do you do? So at the board of contention,
Samuel Anyanwu
is Anyanwu. Wike group is saying that Anyanwu is an authentic person. The other group, the Southeast, the
Bagom and
the other guy, the other name.
Is Sheyi Makinde one of them now, right?
Sheyi Makinde,
Peter Mbao of Plateau State.
Almost all the government in Southwest. I say that is the other man. It's Okoye. So the problem they are having, and that problem will continue until
election arises.
Next election. And that is why some people are already looking at the door. I need to leave this party and form my own party, because the problem will continue. You know, Anyanwu is insisting the backing of course, Wike.
So shouldn't they just allow, because Anyanwu's tenure,
and the secretary must sign.
So if Anyanwu's tenure was supposed to end by December 2025, shouldn't they just allow him, finish out his tenure?
Because they must have a meeting. It is in line with the constitution that they must have a meeting. They must have a meeting.
But they are saying that the meeting will hold, whether they like it on the 30th of June.
If Anyanwu did not sign it, it will be illegal.
INEC doesn't approve of the meeting.
They said it will hold.
INEC is playing his role.
There's a video of the secretary.
INEC is playing his role. I don't know about it. If you are accusing of him bias, then show proof. You cannot show proof. The thing is that PDP members should put their house in order. But the story you read, and
I wanted us to talk about, I have a feeling I know the story. Presidency berates Lamido for saying Tinubu back June 12 annulment. Is that the story?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's look at the undercurrent. Sule Lamido belongs to the opposition. He was saying in that same interview on Arise TV that any coalition formed to depose Tinubu, he'll be interested in that coalition. That defeating Tinubu should be the ultimate, and that he is ready to join the coalition. During that interview, that segment is where he's talking about Tinubu's involvement on June 12. That Tinubu was involved in the annulment of June 12. That he indeed worked for.
And that he's not a part of the pro-democracy struggle.
Abacha, and Babangida. That is not true.
You disagree with that?
You see, yes, I personally disagree with that. Because I knew what happened, I followed it and I reported it. You see, as a journalist, he's impartial in this instance. You see, these guys trying to remove Tinubu, we try to demonize him. And the only foundation, the only plank, in which Tinubu build his credibility is June 12. That I fought for June 12. When he came back from exile,
When he was in exile, he was funding Nadeko, another pro-democracy activist. He was funding that. It's on record. You know, and there was that credibility that I was the one funding you people, Nadeko and Co, that made him to defeat, to be favored as against Funshaw Williams. The Nadeko leaders decided to support him because of involvement in fighting the annulment of June 12th. So if these guys try to destroy that foundation, that plank, they're in trouble. That is why they came out yesterday, furiously,
with the new narrative
to denounce it. LK, who was also involved, Tujibelo was also involved, and you can expect that they will come out to tell Nigerians that. And if you look at the social media, they've been throwing up many videos, affirming what Tinubu did in this struggle. So they should not revise history. They should not rewrite history to demonize Tinubu to win elections. Campaign on your message. Let people know what you want to do.
So it's a political ploy.
Yeah, it's a ploy. It's a big ploy. And you should expect that. When they can destroy that part of Tinubu, then the president will be in trouble. He built his political future, his political ambition, all this while, in the past decade, on the fact that he was with Abiola. Abiola, who is seen as a saint, as a savior, because he died for the cause he was fighting for. He paid the ultimate price. People don't join Southwest, for example. If you demonize Tinubu that he was against June 12 in the Southwest, he'll be in trouble. So these people have their game plan, which I'm happy that the Tinubu boys are fighting against. They will not allow it. But the fact remains that Tinubu was a pro-democracy activist. He funded them. It's on record. They cannot tell us different story now. Go and bring your message. Let Nigeria know what you want to do for them to defeat the Tinubu, not demonizing that it was against June 12. That can not work.
That ploy has sailed, and hopefully many have said that it would stop sailing immediately, because there's a lot of work behind it.
But
a lot as you calm down. Olive, any other story? I think Daily
I want us
Independent
to
is
move to
loaded.
the New Telegraph, unless you have any other story.
Daily Independent is also loaded. If you look at it, it also has another story there. Serap asked to seek ICC intervention in Benue massacre. Tinubu hands over to Sierra Leone. Yes, we've taken that story, but I wanted us to look at the ICC story. Serap asking him to seek the intervention, International Criminal Court, on that.
So what would be the expectation from the ICC?
Exactly.
What are saying? No. Yes. It's not about Serap is a credible platform.
We agree.
Fighting injustice and corruption.
Sure.
In Nigeria. What they are saying is that if you look at the video, the massacre that took place in Benue, Jabjarwa massacre, you can see it as a genocide, and that the ICC, International Criminal Court, should intervene and prosecute people involved in that kind of genocide. That's what Serap is saying.
Exactly.
It's not out of the way. And Serap is forcing the government to do the right thing, to pursue the people that committed that atrocity, and prosecute them. That's what Serap is saying. I think yes, involve this ICC. Let them also know that what happened in Yarua is not only people committing murder, it was a genocide. That to wipe out the whole tribe. That is what Serap is saying, and should be noted. And Serap is saying that to force the government to act decisively against perpetrators of this murder. Anyway, I won't say it's genocide, but it was an atrocity that all of us were not comfortable with, and it's condemnable.
Exactly.
Still talking about insecurity and going to the ICC, I want us to take another story on the New Telegraph. If you look beside that picture, killings. Clerics ask federal government to designate killer headers terrorists. And I'm taking this story because earlier we took a package by our correspondent Emmanuel Bagudu, where he talked about the reintegration of terrorists into the society. These bandits or terrorists, or whatever you call them, there's a reintegration. There's a popular terrorist who has now been reintegrated into the society and said he will keep his own end of the bargain so long as the government keeps its own end of the bargain. But let's get your thoughts. There are those who would argue that we can't win the war against insecurity by strictly using our power, using our military power, using the law enforcement agencies or intelligence, but that there's a role that peacekeeping has to play in all of this. But there's the other angle that argues that it's unfair, because where is the justice for the people who have lost their loved ones to these terrorists and these bandits. These clerics are saying that designate them as terrorists. These killer headers, they're terrorists, and let's not try to sugarcoat it.
There's nothing bad in involving carrot and stick in dealing with these things in security. Even the U.S. do it. The U.S. say apply these things in diplomacy. They did it in Afghanistan. They did it in part of Syria. They did it in Iraq. You know, it's not as if we are weak. You know, if the ultimate thing is to find a solution, if negotiating with these people can bring about peace, why not? But it should be done with sincerity and clear purpose. Who are we dealing with? Who is dealing with them? And they coming out clean? Are they going to abide by the rules? There should be laid down guideline and procedure. If they can adhere to it, no problem. You know, if the ultimate is peace, there's nobody doing it. It happens all over the world. The U.S. even negotiate at time with terrorists to get Americans released from their old. So it's not totally out of the way, but it must be done with sincerity of purpose. Both parties must agree, you know, explicitly to agree with the laid down procedure and agreement.
Let's look at another story. I'd like to get your view. Possibly we still have very little more time. At the top of New Telegraph there, VAT, value-added tax. Northeast states received 124.22 billion naira proceeds, generated 36.04 billion naira. South-South raised 364.99 billion naira, got 171.18 billion naira. So it's looking at the Northeast and the South-South. This, many have agreed, is one of the, I would say, pass mark for the current administration, looking at the aspect of course, the tax reforms. And now more governors are getting more money. What do you make of this particular data, statistics, and how should this make you view the subnationals in terms of how they are carrying out, you know, their duties in terms of benefiting the people?
I think we are putting more of our lenses on the federal government. You know, we should also try and put it on the state government and local government. Since this administration came to power 2 years ago, more money has been given to the states, particularly the states and local government. We cannot talk about the local government because the state still, despite the Supreme Court judgment, control the local government. So this money the states are collecting, who is judging them? Who is telling them to how are this money spent? Where is the accountability? And where is the responsibility? And unfortunately for us, the state government have the legislature in their pocket. You know, so why can't we call on the state governors? How do you spend this money? Because you can imagine the other state governor back in the budget about $10 billion.
Yes.
To reform bridge government.
Reform government.
But
it doesn't live there.
Nothing live there. It's been living there for the past 3-4 years. And since we are living government in 2 years' time, we want to celebrate 50 years of creation of our state with $39 billion refurbishment of the. So those are the things. We ask questions. If we have an effective and vibrant legislature in the state, then we call the government to come and ask questions. The ECOWAS just sat down one day, approved the money, and they're going ahead. The speaker is the boy of the governor from Aruba. So if you say, if you talk, if you say anything to that wife, the next day there'll be something that be crisis in their family, and there's a way out. So they are fighting for their own interest, not about the people. So the emphasis, gentlemen, should be on how our government are spending our money. Yes, we are focused on Tinubu.
On Tinubu.
And the president is responding. But the governors, what is going on with them? In Lagos State, what is going on with them? How is money spent? The money generated from taxes in Lagos State, how is it spent?
We still have.
So I think we should focus on it.
Roads are poorly.
The reporters should ask questions. We should be asking questions. Because the media has a role to play in this enterprise. You know, we need to ask questions. Ask those governors. The governor is going from Kogi to Abuja. Edo to Abuja. We have chartering private jets.
Private jets.
And people are suffering. They are not funding education in the right way. They are not funding The roads are bad.
And then there's some
And you are using billions to refurbish government house because nobody asks questions. So we are you see, the governors are the weakest link that's the major problem of this current democracy. We are all talking about Akpabio here.
But then the National Executive Committee, when these meetings are held?
No, what I'm saying is that the governors, you see, the democracy and governance suffer when there's no check and balances. Power is very fluid.
Yeah.
You use power because you're in charge. These governors are emperors in their states. They're emperors. They can do and undo. But there's no check. Nobody's checking them. They're not accountable to anybody. And people that are elected to the House of Assembly, that's their job to hold the governors accountable. So you do that job, please.
Well, that job, we would revisit it again and see what will happen. But I want to say thank you so much for being here with us, Mr. Habib Aruna, for breaking down through your analysis some of the biggest stories on the front pages of the newspapers. Thanks to our callers who have joined us today. It's Monday. It's the start of the week. We are hopeful and keep our fingers crossed that we're going to hear good stories, aside from what we heard today, which aren't too, good and palatable. Thanks for coming. And that's it on the show for today. I want to say thank you for joining us. My name is Joe Hansen.
And my name is Olive Emodi. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.